Well, I'm back, and finger's still really sore. It'll be fine, but I figured in times like this, it's I'll just give it a chance to rest up. If I was on the road and this happened, I would just have to bite the bullet and play the shows and be uncomfortable. But I'm not, and I'm not, so I'm not. I'm going to just let this thing heal up for a couple of days and take it from there. But I mentioned yesterday, one thing I wanted to do, the signature Warwick bass was designed and built by Marcus Spangler, who's one of the main guys at Warwick. He's a brilliant luthier and conceptualist, and he came up with the advanced producer switch and all this. He had a very kind of sheepish grin when he brought it to me, and he said, "No, check this out." So I wanted to give credit to Marcus because he's an amazing cat. But yesterday I said, "Look, if I can't play today, I'll get back to playing. I'm loving this, so I'm not shying away from it. Just want to do it right." I said I was going to tell a story. Now, so many times in during the course of interviews and stuff, people they just it's sort of sad. They kind of want the dirt. They want to have you tell stories that all this stuff about what happens backstage and on gigs, and they're always kind of hoping that some terrible stuff went on that people will go, wow, wow. It's there's been a few stories for me, but they had nothing to do with anything risque or any of that kind of nonsense that those people are really hoping to glean from you. So I'm going to tell one of the stories I tell, and usually by the time I finish it with some of these people, I look over and they're just, they've zoned out a long time ago. It's not what they wanted to hear. But to me, this was really one of the more kind of remarkable experiences I've had on the road. So this happened during the But Serious tour with Phil Collins in 1990. And we were in the Glasgow airport getting ready to fly to Dublin. And then we were going to go from Dublin, we were going to drive straight up to Belfast and play, and then come back and play Dublin. So I'm sitting there, and we're just waiting for our flight. And Bridget Bryant comes over to me, and she kind of nudges me and points over. He says, "You see that family over there?" And I look over, and there's this woman with these three young girls and this little boy. And Bridget looks at me and she goes, "That little boy thinks you're Santa Claus." And I went, "Oh, that's great." And I look over, and this kid's like, he's like sheepishly staring over. So it's really sweet. Well, eventually the three little girls come over. They must have, at that time, Jesus, been like, 5, 7, 8, somewhere right in there. They were all pretty close in age. But they came over and said, "Are you guys a pop group?" And we said, "Well, yeah, we are." We explained, we were with Phil Collins and all that. And they had heard of Phil Collins because this was really pretty much, boy, at the height of his powers. So they smiled, and we talked a little bit with them, and then they went back. And the little boy just kept staring over, though. It was like really, really funny. So I moseyed over and I started talking to the mom, Adele. And I said, "What's going on with you guys?" And she said, "Well, we're heading back to Dublin." And all this, I said, "Well, we're going to be playing Dublin in like 2 days or whatever it was." I said, "Would you like to come to the concert?" And she said, "Yeah, we'd love to. I have to check, meeting my husband at the airport when we get in, and we'll check and see what our schedule is." So, but the whole time, this little boy's like just, sort of freaking out. And as they call our gate, though, they start to get up, and he's toting this bag, and I reached over. I said, "Here, let me help you with that." And so I'm carrying his bag and walking with him, and he's just glommed onto me. He's just kind of staring away. It's really so adorable. It was just unbelievable. He was 4 years old, and So we take the flight and we get to the airport, and she meets the husband and says what's going on, and comes back and says, yeah, we'd love to come to the show. I said, okay, well, give me your name and there will be tickets for the family and backstage passes at the box office for you. So we move on and we go up and we play Belfast, and we come back, and I put their name on the list and everything, and they come to the gig. And afterwards, like she even, mom even mentioned, she said, I figured you would probably just, forget about this. This wasn't going to happen. But they had a great time. They apparently really enjoyed the show. And they came back after the show, and the girls had gotten autograph books. It was so sweet. So I got Phil and the band, I got the crew, I got everybody to sign their autograph books for them. And at this point, little David, the 4-year-old, had really glommed onto me. And so we're all sitting in the dressing room together after the show, and Phil sitting there, and Cheryl Martinelli, who was our publicist, looks over at David and points to Phil and goes, do you know who that is? And he looks over at Phil and he looks back at me and he goes, that's Santa's helper. And we almost all started crying. It was just one of those moments. And it was so sweet. The daughters were Emma, Sarah, and Vicky. And so finally, the evening winds down and they tell us, we got to get going, going to get on the bus. We're going to move out. So I said, give me a few minutes. And I walked them all out to the parking lot. And I was carrying David in my arms. And he was holding on tight. It was great. And he whispered in my ear, he says, I've been really good. I want to train. So I go, okay. And as we get to the car, I leaned over to the dad. I said, he wants a train. And he goes, I know, we already got it for him. So it was great. I said, I know you've been a really good boy, and I think your dreams will come true. So you just keep up what you're doing, but you're really a special young man. And I went off, and that was kind of the end of it. And then one of the things I love about Facebook, and one of the reasons why I get so furious when I'm kicked off of Facebook, never once for a good reason, and I'm not going to go into that, but one of the things I like is I reconnected with the family on Facebook, and I watch all their adventures and stuff. Well, when on the tour we played that we just finished, we played Dublin, and the family came, mom and the 3 daughters and the son and a friend of the family came to our show in Dublin, and we all hooked up at the hotel afterwards. Well, I walk in and I see this man standing there and stuff. Well, it's David, and he's 30 now. He's not 4. I mean, it was 26 years ago that we hooked up. And it was just so wonderful seeing this family as adults. The daughters have all grown into these amazing, like just vibey, cool chicks. Two of them made the gig. I forget, one of the girls couldn't make the gig. Something was going on. She couldn't make. But it was the 2 of the daughters, mom, a friend of the family, and David. So we're sitting around talking, and afterwards, and it was so sweet. And then David gave me a gift, and the gift was the train that he got that night. And if you look on one side, it's got my name on it. On the back, it's got the date when we met and now, and then Santa. So I have this sitting here on a shelf right in front of me when I'm doing things as a reminder. I absolutely adore this family. They are just the coolest people. I was digging around. I was going to show a photograph, and then I forgot to do it, and it's on my phone, which I'm talking into, so I can't change that right now. Maybe at some point I'll post the picture. But so Adele and Emma and Sarah and Vicky and David, you are one of the coolest families I've ever known in my life, and those are the kind of things that happen on the road that I cherish. It's not all the crazy stuff, and there isn't that much of it out there. The road is a job. It's a business. A lot of people forget that because they say, oh, you're playing. It's not playing like playing catch. we're playing music and doing a very serious business. But those moments when you get to meet people and develop these kind of relationships, and now that have gone on for 40 years, uh, that I've pretty much known this. I've known them since 1990. And we stay in touch on Facebook, and I go to their pages and I follow them and see what they're up to. And they're just great people. They say at Christmas time they gather as a family, and one of the things they like to talk about is kindness and people in their lives. And they said that this story comes up every year with them too. It meant a lot to them. So that's what I wanted to share today. I don't have some playing today. I'm still waiting for the finger to heal up. But I just wanted to tell this story. There's a few others, and maybe I'll tell them down the line. But I just, Adele, you and the family, I love you guys very much. You are a really special little beam of light in my life. And you're always in my thoughts. And I am sending my best wishes to you. And I hope you're all safe and sound during this period. Hard part now is, I do have emails and I'm staying in touch that way, but not being able to, join you and comment on Facebook, it just infuriates me that the social side of my life that is on Facebook just gets shut down for the most ridiculous, nonsensical reasons. But so again, I'm gonna go out. We went from raining yesterday to a beautiful, clear day. So I think the pups have had breakfast. I think it's time to get them out and go wandering. And then I'm going to be doing a podcast for Inside Music Cast today at 4:30 my time, West Coast. And I'm going to be talking to the cats. I haven't done one with them in a long time. I'm looking forward to that. This is one of the perks of this downtime and being quarantined is I'm hooking up with a lot of people and doing interviews and podcasts and a cappella videos and stuff that I probably wouldn't have had a chance to do this stuff under other circumstances. But I will continue this even after we're well, and I'm hoping we all get well much sooner than much later. Again, my heart's with everybody who's working so hard. My heart's especially with all the families who are suffering through this. When you're sitting in your house and everything seems okay, you kind of forget that there are people dying and people are losing family and friends. So it's a very terrible, terrible situation. Be as smart as you can. I don't care what comes out of Washington as far as let's get this country back on its feet and get out there and don't fall into this trap. Really be smart and investigate things before you step back into the community. The last thing I want is to hear that more of you have passed away or become terribly sick and passed on this disorder to anybody else. It's the last thing we need at this point. Economy's suffering, but there's no greater suffering than death, and that's what we have to be watching out for. So take good care of yourselves. I will see you tomorrow. If I'm not playing, I'll try to come up with another story, or maybe I'll do some interpretive dancing to Dalib's flower duet, something like that. We'll see. I'll take requests. But you take good care, and we'll see you tomorrow.